A Plymouth nonprofit that fights homelessness and poverty has seen an uptick in the number of people needing help. Weeks after the federal eviction moratorium ended, they are also seeing more people specifically asking for rent assistance. Reporter Sonia Goins explains why the moratorium ending has created a domino effect of need.
People don't typically think of folks struggling to pay rent in Plymouth or the surrounding western suburbs, but there are some people who are barely making ends meet.
14% are in poverty. And so if you think of a family of four, that's about $26,500 a year. And the average rent in our area is about $1,400. That math does not work.
Many residents face instability in housing during the height of the pandemic. And now that the moratorium on rent evictions has ended, people are struggling. Interfaith officials say the ending of the rent moratorium is creating a domino effect. They say more people are using the food shelf and other services.
We are seeing an increase for requests financially for large medical bills, would be one of them.
Last year, the nonprofit helped about 200 families who were experiencing homelessness. Officials anticipate that number to increase in the next few weeks as people try to catch up on rent after the federal program ended.
There's also been requests for people wanting support because they need to move and leave the area.
In Plymouth, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
On Monday, November 1st, Interfaith Outreach and Community Partners will kick off its annual Sleep Out fundraiser. The goal is to raise $3 million to prevent homelessness. During Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we draw your attention to a local organization that's helping women by partnering them with a mentor. It's companionship that's been even more important during the pandemic. I sat down to learn more with the executive director of the Firefly Sisterhood, Amy Gallagher.
So we've actually had requests up almost 30% over the last year because of the pandemic. A lot of women are going to their appointments alone, surgeries alone, so they really just need that emotional support and somebody to talk to that's been through it when they can only go into their appointments by themselves. So definitely that increase for that support with not being able to be with your family and have kind of that loved one supporting you through this. We've been able to just really focus on having our peer mentors sort of call them more than they would probably in a normal year because they just really need somebody to talk to through this time.
And how does the Firefly Sisterhood help?
So what we do is if a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer, they will call us, and if they want to, and we match them with a woman who has been through something similar. So we have peer mentor trained guides, and we match by breast cancer type, stage, treatment plan, family, lifestyle. So a ton of different factors go into a match, and it's very intentional. So if you're a mom diagnosed and you have young kids and you really want to know what it's like to go through chemo with young kids, we'll match you with somebody who's done the same thing, and they can share their experience with that person.
All right. Do you need volunteers or recommendations
of
people
yes.
to help?
Yep. So if anybody has been diagnosed with breast cancer, and they need support, we have, if you go on fireflysisterhood.org, you click on Get Support, and you just fill out a form right there, and we call you back within 1 business day and start that matching process. And if you have had breast cancer and are a survivor, we're always looking for people to be in our program and volunteer. We have women that are 6 months out from sort of their survivorship and 20 years out. So there's all different people that need help, and essentially all of our volunteers are still patients as well because they're still doing their 6-month checkups and that throughout survivorship. So it's just it supports everybody, and it kind of makes everybody feel good about helping someone.
I'm sure you've been around since 2014. There are several success stories that you have under your belt.
Yep. So we've matched over 2,000 women since 2014. Which is great, and we have trained over 330 peer mentor guides. Currently we have about 157 active guides in our program.
All right, and you probably hear back from some of the folks that have been helped a lot.
We do, yes. I actually was able to meet a pair that had never met in person because of the pandemic and at a lunch and learn in June, and just to see sort of the joy on their face for seeing each other for the first time in person. They had been Zooming through the pandemic, and just like she has expressed so much support for the fact that she would not have got through this without her mentor. Like, she was just so appreciative. I've seen her like 3 times since then, and every time it's just that, like, thank you so much for being here, which is so wonderful to hear.
If someone's curious and wants to learn more, where should they go?
Go to fireflysisterhood.org, and go on our website and you can learn all about us. If you want support, click on Get Support. If you want to become a guide, just click on Become a Guide. And it's pretty straightforward. It's a pretty simple website, and it just kind of gives everybody the information that they need.
All right. Amy Gallagher with the Firefly Sisterhood. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Domestic Violence Awareness Month ends in a few days, but the nonprofit Maria's Voice is hoping the community continues to spread awareness about an issue we can't ignore. Maria's Voice has created an educational video to help people know the signs of domestic violence and take action steps for safer relationships. There are 12 subtle and common signs they are educating the community about through this new video.
We really did not know what was happening to Maria. We didn't really know how to say when we noticed that she was not appearing at family events, that we did not know that that's a primary sign of domestic abuse, that's isolation. When she was being financially controlled by her husband in her job, that's financial abuse, and that's a form of domestic abuse.
When the community has an opportunity to be aware and educated about domestic violence, we're going to be able to recognize those common signs more readily, have more empathy when we encounter them in our friendships and our relationships.
Maria's Voice hopes their work will also encourage normalizing talking about domestic abuse. And here's a big donation to tell you about, one that will keep several kids warm this winter. Several councils from the Knights of Columbus joined together to collect and then donate more than $5,000 worth of coats to Interfaith Outreach and Community Partners in Plymouth. More than 100 of the coats were brand new.
High school girls swimming and diving teams are gearing up for postseason meets. Wayzata's Claire Renke will be aiming to defend her state title in the 100 butterfly. Here's Jason Malillo with this week's CCX Sports Spotlight.
Claire Renke doesn't apologize for who she is.
Which is just goofy, like from head to toe. The girl is as silly as they come.
But in the pool, the Wayzata junior is deadly serious.
It's nice when you have a highly talented athlete who also really wants it, and that's Claire.
Renke has the fastest time in the state in the 100 butterfly this season. It's an intense stroke, impossible to swim easy, and Renke has always had a natural ability as a flyer.
So when I was 8, I won age group state in the 50 fly, and then when I was 9, 10, I won the 50 and the 100. Same with when I was 11 and 12, and 13, 14, so like 100 fly has kind of just always been my thing.
Renke is a strong young woman, a powerful swimmer for sure, but her technique in the butterfly is also top-notch.
Renke with a late push is going to win.
I think it's all about the timing of like your kick and your stroke, because if your tempo and like that's off, then you just kind of look like a flopping fish.
Renke won the state title in the 100 butterfly as a freshman. Then 2 weeks ago at the True Team State Meet, she set a new school record in the 100 fly.
I've been working so hard this season and every year since I started, and then to finally get the goal that I've been reaching for so long was just a really meaningful moment when I looked up to the board and saw that I'd gotten it.
Renke was aiming to set the record last year and better the mark held by her friend and former Trojan swimmer Melinda Zhang. But the day before the 2020 section meet, the only championship meet allotted because of the pandemic, Renke had to go into quarantine after a family member tested positive for COVID.
So Claire had trained all season and did not get to have a championship meet. So it was sort of this sweet justice to be able to come on Wednesday night at True Team State and finally break Melinda's record.
After she graduates from Wayzata in 2023, Renke plans to study engineering at Minnesota and swim for the Gophers.
I watched them practice a couple times, and I saw their patterns and how their coaches interacted with giving advice and technique, and it was just somewhere I could really picture a future academically as well. We got to walk around campus and met tutors and stuff, and it was just somewhere I could really picture a good future at.
Wayzata finished second at True Team State. Claire Renke hopes that's a sign the Trojans are ready for the postseason.
We want to let all the teams know that we're here to fight.
Jason Malillo, CCX Sports.
Wayzata will swim at the Section 5 AA meet November 11th through the 13th at the Minnetonka Aquatic Center. The Wayzata girls soccer team saw their season end earlier this week in the state Class 3A quarterfinals. Breck qualified for the Class A state tourney and took their shot at a semifinal berth under less than ideal weather conditions.
A rainy, breezy night for the state Class A quarterfinals with Breck facing St. Anthony. Early first half, a free kick for St. Anthony's Megan Prisbilla right on net, but Mustangs goalie Eva Breland comes up with 2 big stops to keep the match scoreless. But the Huskies get on the board later in the half. Eileen Cardona launches an arcing shot over Breland and into the Mustangs net. It's 1-0 St. Anthony at halftime. Second half, and Breck ties it up. Maggie Mixon chips the ball in front. Katie Tyson slips the ball into the St. Anthony net. The Mustangs are fired up. It's tied at 1. With just over 8 minutes to play, Breck's Georgia Lewin Mills with a free kick that skips off the turf through the hands of the goalie and in. And that's the game winner as Breck wins 2-1. The Mustangs meet top-seeded Holy Family in the semifinals November 4th at U.S. Bank Stadium.
The Mustangs' record is now 9-4-4. This is Breck's first ever state tournament appearance in girls soccer.
Find more prep sports games and highlights at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.